Alright guys, so Bradamante is going to be going on raid up for the Santa Nightingale rerun event, and instead of giving her a traditional servant review, I actually wanted to do one of these discussion videos on her because I was actually using her on stream today, and as I was using her, I was like, man, I really just want to ask the question of why this servant is so bad, because Bradamante is one of the very few servants in the game that when you look at them on paper, they look really, really good, but then in practice, they're actually not all that strong. Now, most of the time, if you come out to streams, which is every weekday at about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you'll hear me talk about certain servants and stuff like that. And most of the time, I'll tell you that you can look at a servant on paper and you can pretty much determine how good they're going to be. Because at the end of the day, realistically, it's all math. It's math dressed up as waifus, right? Like, it's all the numbers, and you can generally tell how good these servants are going to be. But there's a few of them that slip through the cracks, and Bradamante is one of them. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. But before we begin, if you have not already, make sure you leave a like on the video and you subscribe to the channel for that sweet daily FGO content. And I kind of already plugged the stream, so let's just jump right into this. Now, what do I mean by her being deceptively bad? Well, if we go ahead and we look at her kit, you see that she's got really strong NP gain. She's actually got really strong hits as well, especially for a quick servant. You really do like to see these really good quick cards over here. She can even potentially drop a few stars with a decent star gen stat. She's buffing both her quick and her arts cards to help her be consistent. It gives her more damage. In fact, this even multiplies with her overcharge, which is an NP damage buff, which should give her even more damage. And hey, I'm always talking about the trifecta of farming, right? And that's your card buff, you're like a battery, and then like an NP gain buff if you're a quick or an arts type servant. Now, she doesn't have the NP gain buff, but she does have a decent battery. In fact, it's a targetable battery, which is also really nice. Let's say you're doing a challenge quest or something and you really need one of your supports to get to their NP. I don't know, you're using her with Waver or something, and Waver's got to use his NP to drain all the enemy's NP so you don't get obliterated, right? Really good for stuff like that. In fact, she can also save them from being stunned or charmed. Like, stuff like that is really good. And she can also give them a guts, right? If one of your supports are going to go down, or one of your other DPSs that you really need to keep around is about to go down, you can just slap this guts on them. But realistically, most of the time you're going to use this stuff on Bradamante, but it's really nice just to have the option to be able to do this, because these are things that you can give to your allies that actually might be relevant. And something else that's really relevant is this chance to stun on her NP. Like, she could potentially stun lock a lot of enemies. And, you know, I was using her today on stream, and this did come up a lot of the times. In fact, I forgot she even had this ability. I was like, do they just not attack me when I break their bars? What's going on right now? What, am I some weird quest right now? And then I had to be reminded that she has the stun chance on NP. I completely forgot about it. And it was actually rather helpful. So where do things go wrong with Bradamante? Well, first and foremost, I think her damage is way too low. If you go to Bradamante and you look at her damage, it's not very pretty. Now, that is pretty much free, if you want to call it free, because, you know, there's nothing you got to do. There's no special damage mods. There's nothing in particular you got to do. You just got to have the first skill up, and you got to have the overcharge up, which is guaranteed. You just got to fire the NP, right? But aside from that, it's just not very good. Free as it may be, it's not very good free damage. And the sad thing is that on the JP version of the game, apparently my Bradamante is NP2, and that's still not the greatest for NP2. I don't know when I pulled the second copy, but I was very baffled. I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense for her performance at NP1. This is perfectly fine. But I'm like, no, this is NP2. This is supposed to be like where you actually invest in the servant. If you're a newer player and maybe you don't know, the largest gap between, you know, NP levels is NP1 to NP2. If you could see, you actually get a 200% increase, and then you kind of get diminishing returns with like 100%, 50%, and then another 50%, right? You get diminishing returns after that. So really, that's why a lot of people want to go for that NP2, because you get the most sizable chunk, right, from NP2. And then sometimes people go for 3, because 3 you still get a decent buff, but then after that, it's diminishing returns. So when you look at Bradamante, and like I had her NP2, and I was like, wow, this is just not very good at all. I think one of the main things is that her attack is actually quite low. I mean, her attack is not even 11,000, which is a bit on the lower end, right? She's almost got arguably 4-star attack stats, right? Which is really bad. Now, her HP is pretty high, and that's really cool and all, but if you're not doing any damage, having the extra HP to take that extra hit really isn't going to matter very much. The other thing that I was kind of noticing for Bradamante is that not only is her damage really lacking, but she's probably one of those servants that could really do with an NP gain buff. I mean, I was using the Like a Lady CE, which is a free-to-play CE that we got for the Santa Martha event. You guys on NA will be getting it next year. It basically starts you with that 50% starting charge, and you get like a big NP gain buff. And I was like, this will definitely help her out a lot. I don't have to like waste a whole lot of buffs to get her to 100% or anything. I don't have K-scope, so I can't do like natural quick farming, but I was like, this should be able to get the job done. And she's over here refunding like 37% of her NP back. And I'm like, this is completely unacceptable. Like, this is not good for a servant. So I think above all else, she probably needs like a huge NP gain buff. Like, she needs an NP gain steroid or something to really help her out when it comes to actually refunding and getting back to her NP, because her NP is actually not bad, right? The fact that you can like AoE stun everybody and it gives you a bit of extra damage, which she desperately needs to combine with this, you know, that's something you want to be doing. But the other thing is that she's a quick servant that really can't take advantage of any of the stars that she's making, you know, especially with the new buffed quick brave chains, right? If you guys don't know, quick cards went from only giving you 10 stars per quick chain to now being like 20 stars, right? So quick servants, it's just even easier for them to just vomit stars all over the place. And so now she's producing all these stars, but one thing you didn't hear me talk about when we looked at her kit, there's no crit damage. There's no way for her on her own to take advantage of a lot of those crit stars. Now, some people might be saying, well, you know, that's what the supports are for, because, you know, they're supposed to give you some of that stuff and really support all your servants and all that good stuff. But you want your servants to already be good on their own. You don't want the supports to have to play babysitter to your DPS servant, right? They should be elevating them, not fixing their problems, because then they're not going to have as high of a high as other servants that already have all the normal stuff, right? And again, if you're looking at servants, you're going to take someone that has like the same battery, the same card buff as Bradamante, but that also has like crit damage and maybe an NP gain buff, stuff along those lines. And so I think these are things that she's really going to need, and that's kind of why she's not very good. She's, one, lacking NP gain. She's really struggling to actually loop her NP, and I know they're not going to buff her hits and give her like a 9-hit NP or something. They're not going to do anything ridiculous like that, and even then, that might not even be good enough, because if you don't have the damage to actually take advantage of those high hits, it's kind of wasted on you, right? If you don't know, the whole thing behind looping and the reason you want really high hits is that you want to obliterate the enemy in like the first couple of hits, so all the other hits behind it get overkill, which gives you like massive amounts of refund for your NP. And that's why some of the better servants, you know, you want to get them to like higher NP copies when they have those high hits, so that all their extra hits after the initial hits can refund NP. I hope that all made sense. I think it made sense, but I hope it made sense. I hope that wasn't too wordy, but I think that's definitely something that she needs. I'll be really curious to see what people in the comments down below want to give Bradamante. That's kind of just the basic bare bones stuff that she needs, but they could even go just over the top, right? Like, they could give her a buffed NP, because for one, that buffs the damage scaling and it just inherently gives her more damage. On top of that, they could buff this to like 30% and maybe even just slap like a special damage mod on the overcharge. I don't care what it is, but it needs to be something different, or something not different, but something decent, right? Like Earth, or like you need to slap like Anti-Man or something. Whatever they think will make sense for Bradamante lore-wise, give her something like that. And nothing small. Don't give her like a 50% special damage mod against Earth. Give her like 150%. Like, give her a real special damage mod that'll actually allow her to do a lot of damage in some capacity, right? Because then at least you can get some mileage out of her. Because at the end of the day, this servant is too cute to not be getting used, all right? I fell into the trap. I got suckered on the NA version of the game because I was like, bro, I'm summoning for Bradamante. She's really cute. And I'm like, you know what? I know Lisango's not going to listen to me, but I can at least make a discussion video for my channel. And, you know, everybody here, we could all rant in the comments down below about what we don't like about Bradamante. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I also, you know, because I know there's some people that are like way better lore masters than I am, right? Like, I know decently about the Knights of Charlemagne and all that stuff, but there's probably gonna be one guy that's like, I actually have read all of the stuff about the Knights of Charlemagne, and I know everything about Bradamante, and I know the perfect special damage mod for her. She's gonna be anti-demonic or something, which, we haven't talked about enough already, but it would be good. So let me know in the comments down below. Maybe we have a huge Bradamante lore master that can give us like a really appropriate special damage mod or something. That would be good. Don't say like anti-Astolfo or something. I'm like, yeah, great. Bradamante can kill like the one Astolfo boss in the game. So let me know all that in the comments down below. Again, I stream every weekday over my Twitch. Would love to see more of you guys coming out there. And with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Have yourselves a nice day, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace. Late, guys.